The Silent Sentinel. Deep beneath the crystalline waters of Meridia Prime, senior observer Naya drifted through the bioluminescent corridors of the Deep Watch Observatory. Her translucent fins rippled with concern as she studied the quantum resonance readings flooding her neural interface. After 3 millennia of watching the stars through the lens of ocean and atmosphere, something unprecedented had appeared in their system. The massive object had emerged from hyperspace at the edge of their heliopause, its energy signature unlike anything in the Meriday's extensive archives. Naya's gill frills pulsed rapidly as she processed the data streams. The object was headed directly toward their world, its trajectory precise and unwavering. First speaker, she transmitted through the psychic mesh that connected all Meriday. I request your immediate presence in the observatory. Within moments, first speaker Lyra materialized through one of the hydro tunnels, her elder status evident in the complex patterns of bioluminescence that adorned her silvered scales. Show me, she commanded, her thought voice carrying the weight of centuries. Naya projected the sensor data into the water around them, creating a 3-dimensional map of their star system. The unknown object appeared as a red pulse moving steadily through the blue-green holographic display. It's massive, Naya explained, nearly twice the size of our largest city reef. The energy readings suggest propulsion technology far beyond our understanding. Lyra studied the projection, her ancient eyes tracking the object's movement. Have they responded to our greeting songs? No, first speaker. We've transmitted on all known frequencies, including subsonic and quantum channels. They maintain silence. The first speaker's bioluminescent patterns shifted to deep blues of contemplation. The Meriday had encountered other spacefaring species before, mostly nomadic traders and exploratory missions, but none had ever approached with such purpose. Alert the depth guard, Lyra decided, not in panic, but in preparedness, and summon the Council of Tides. Within the grand amphitheater of the Tidal Council, thousands of Meriday gathered in concentric circles, their bodies creating natural currents that spoke of their unease. The council members, representing every major reef city and oceanic province, floated in a central sphere of still water. The vessel's size suggests a species adapted to space rather than planetary environments, Chief Scientist Morin observed, his patterns flickering with scientific curiosity. Their silence could indicate fundamentally different forms of communication. Or hostile intent, warned Defense Coordinator Ven, her military background evident in the sharp, angular patterns of her bioluminescence. We cannot assume peaceful intentions simply because that is our way. First speaker Lyra absorbed their concerns, feeling the weight of her people's future in the currents around her. The Meriday had evolved beyond violence millennia ago, focusing their energy on understanding the deep mysteries of space and ocean. Their defenses were primarily environmental, control over currents, pressure fields, and the very temperature of their waters. Would it be enough? The debate was interrupted by an urgent pulse from the observatory. First speaker, Naya's thought voice carried barely contained shock. The vessel has begun decelerating. But there's something else. We're detecting massive energy signatures consistent with weapon systems. And, she hesitated, they appear to be designed for underwater deployment. A ripple of fear passed through the assembled Meriday, their collective anxiety causing the water to churn. First speaker Lyra raised her fins, calling for calm. How long until they enter orbit? At current velocity, 6 hours. They'll achieve stable orbit directly above the capital reef. Lyra's patterns shifted to the decisive gold of authority. Then we have 6 hours to prepare. Not for war. We are not warriors. But we will show them the strength that lies in our depths. Coordinator Ven, activate the pressure defense networks. Chief Scientist Morin, I want analysis of every piece of data we can gather about their technology. And Naya, she paused, her patterns softening. Continue watching. They may yet speak to us in ways we understand. As the council dispersed to their tasks, Lyra remained in the still waters of the chamber center. Through the transparent dome above, she could see the shimmering surface of their ocean world, and beyond it, the stars that had always been their silent guardians. Soon, those stars would be shared with whatever force approached their world. In the hours that followed, the Meridae worked with the fluid efficiency that had made them masters of their aquatic world. Defense barriers of concentrated pressure were established around major population centers. Emergency evacuation protocols were reviewed and updated. Scientists analyzed every scrap of data about the approaching vessel, building theoretical models of its capabilities. Yet through it all, First Speaker Lyra felt something that transcended their preparations, a sense that they stood on the edge of a fundamental change. Whether that change would bring destruction or a new understanding remained to be seen. But as she watched the massive ship through the observatory sensors, she knew with certainty that the peaceful solitude of their ocean world was about to be broken forever. The question that rippled through every current, every thought voice, every shimmer of bioluminescence was the same. What manner of beings would build a warship capable of diving into their deepest oceans? And more importantly, why were they here? Depths of power. The human warship Eclipse hung in Meridia Prime's orbit like a steel leviathan, its dark hull reflecting the azure glow of the ocean world below. On its bridge, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the main viewport, her weathered face illuminated by the planet's light. 20 years of combat experience hadn't prepared her for this moment. Analysis complete. Admiral, her XO, Commander Marcus Rodriguez, reported. The planet is approximately 97% water, with depths reaching up to 30 kilometers. We're detecting massive structures throughout the ocean. Cities, we think. Their technology signatures are unusual. Chen nodded, studying the holographic display of the underwater civilization they'd discovered. Any response to our presence? Yes, ma'am. They've been broadcasting on multiple frequencies, including some we've never encountered. The AI's still working on decoding most of it, but there's definitely intelligence behind these transmissions. And the swarm. Rodriguez's expression darkened. Long-range sensors confirmed they're still following our trajectory. 3 days behind us, at most. Chen closed her eyes briefly, feeling the weight of Earth's final orders. Find allies. Find hope. Save what remains of humanity. The swarm had appeared 2 years ago, emerging from the depths of space with an insatiable hunger for resources, organic and inorganic alike. They'd destroyed dozens of human colonies, consumed entire planets, leaving nothing but barren husks in their wake. Launch the envoy, she ordered. It's time to make contact. Deep beneath the waves, First Speaker Lyra received the alert from the observatory. A smaller vessel has detached from the main ship, Naya reported. It's descending into our atmosphere. The vessel that breached the ocean's surface was unlike anything the Meridae had ever seen. Sleek and angular, it moved through water as efficiently as their own craft, its hull seemingly impervious to the crushing pressures of the deep. As it approached the Capitol Reef, escort pods from the depth guard took up defensive positions around it. The human vessel came to a stop outside the main receiving chamber, a massive bubble of reinforced water tension that served as the Meridae's interface point with non-aquatic species. Inside the chamber, First Speaker Lyra waited with the council, their bioluminescent patterns betraying their mixture of fear and fascination. The airlock cycle completed, and 3 figures emerged. They wore sophisticated diving suits that seemed more like second skins, their movements fluid and natural. The leader removed her helmet, revealing a face that bore the marks of both authority and exhaustion. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. She spoke, her words automatically translated by both sides' technology. We come seeking alliance in the face of an extinction-level threat. Lyra's patterns shifted to the formal colors of diplomatic exchange. I am First Speaker Lyra of the Meridae. Your arrival has caused great concern among our people, Admiral. Your vessel carries weapons powerful enough to threaten our entire world. The weapons aren't meant for you, Chen replied, her voice heavy with urgency. They're for what's coming behind us. Over the next hour, Chen shared humanity's nightmare. The swarm had appeared without warning, their biomechanical ships stripping entire worlds bare of resources. Earth had barely survived the first wave, their most powerful weapons proving nearly useless against the swarm's adaptive capabilities. The Eclipse, humanity's newest and most powerful warship, had been sent to seek allies and solutions before the swarm could regroup for their final assault. "We discovered something in our research," Chen explained, activating a holographic display. "The swarm avoids deep ocean environments. They can't adapt to extreme pressures quickly enough. Your world, your people, you might be the key to stopping them." The council chambers erupted in a chorus of thought voices. Chief Scientist Morin's patterns blazed with sudden understanding. "The weapons on your ship, they're designed to work underwater because you hope to find an oceanic civilization." "Yes," Chen confirmed. "We need your help. Not just to fight, but to understand how to use the deep to our advantage. In return, we offer our technology, our experience in space combat, and our commitment to defending your world alongside our own." Defense Coordinator Ven's patterns shifted rapidly. "The swarm follows you even now. They'll be here in 3 days. We can run again. Try to lead them away from your world. But sooner or later, they'll find you. They find everyone." First Speaker Lyra moved forward, her ancient eyes studying the human admiral. Through the transparent walls of the chamber, she could see the Eclipse hovering above. No longer just a threat, but perhaps their only hope for survival. "Show me everything you know about these creatures," Lyra decided. "If we are to face this threat together, we must understand what we fight." As information began flowing between the two species, a plan started taking shape. The Meriday's mastery of pressure fields and underwater technology, combined with humanity's advanced weapons and space warfare experience, might create something the swarm had never encountered, a defense they couldn't adapt to. But time was running out. Somewhere in the dark between the stars, the swarm was approaching, driven by their endless hunger. And the fate of two civilizations would depend on whether an ocean world and a desperate spacefaring species could learn to fight as one. Tides of war. They arrived like a storm of teeth and metal, dozens of swarm ships dropping out of hyperspace, their biomechanical forms writhing against the starfield. From the Eclipse's command center, now submerged in one of Meridia's deepest trenches, Admiral Chen watched the tactical display with grim determination. "Multiple signatures detected," Rodriguez reported, his voice steady despite the tension. "Counting 37 capital ships and over 200 smaller units, they're taking up attack positions around the planet." In the adjoining chamber, filled with pressurized water for their allies, First Speaker Lyra's bioluminescence pulsed with controlled fear. The Meriday had never witnessed such a concentration of hostile force. Through their neural interface, she could feel the collective anxiety of her people rippling through the deep. "The pressure field networks are ready," Defense Coordinator Ven reported, her patterns glowing with fierce determination. "All city reefs have been evacuated to the sanctuary depths." The past 3 days had been a blur of preparation and integration. Human engineers had worked alongside Merida scientists to modify their weapon systems for underwater combat. The Meriday had shared their pressure field technology, allowing the Eclipse to operate at depths that would have crushed any normal vessel. "They're launching probes," Chen announced, watching the tactical display. "Standard pattern. They're testing our defenses." The first wave of swarm probes entered the atmosphere, their biomechanical forms shifting and adapting as they encountered the ocean's surface. But as they dove deeper, something unexpected happened. The probes began to struggle, their adaptive capabilities failing against the crushing pressure. "Now," Chen ordered. Across the ocean floor, massive generators activated, creating concentrated zones of hyperpressure. The remaining probes imploded, their remains drifting down to the abyssal plain. But the Meriday and their human allies knew this was just the beginning. The main swarm fleet responded immediately, launching thousands of larger attack craft. These units were more heavily armored, designed to withstand extreme conditions. They pierced the ocean's surface like a rain of metal meteors. They're adapting faster than we anticipated, Chief Scientist Morin observed, his patterns flickering with concern. Then we changed the game, Chen responded. Execute Phase 2. Deep beneath the waves, hundreds of Merida vessels activated, their organic technology merging with human weapon systems. They moved through the water with impossible grace, using the ocean itself as both weapon and shield. The Eclipse's main batteries fired, their modified energy beams actually gaining power as they passed through the pressure fields. The battle that followed was unlike anything either species had experienced. Swarm units that managed to penetrate the pressure defenses found themselves in an environment where their usual advantages meant nothing. The Meridae's intimate knowledge of ocean currents and pressure zones turned simple movements into deadly traps. But the swarm was relentless. For every unit destroyed, 2 more took its place. They began to adapt, developing specialized forms for deep-sea combat. The battle lines pushed steadily deeper, threatening the outlying city reefs. They're learning. Ven's patterns pulsed with urgency. The pressure fields alone won't hold them much longer. Lyra watched as a swarm of smaller attack craft surrounded one of the defense platforms. Admiral, we need to draw them deeper. Into the thermal vents. Chen studied the topographical data. The temperature differential could disrupt their adaptation process, but we'd be putting both our forces at risk. Those currents are treacherous. My people were born in these waters. Lyra's patterns glowed with fierce pride. We can guide your ship through the worst of it. Chen nodded, trusting in their alliance. All units, fall back to the thermal zone. Use pattern Delta 7, just like we practiced. The coordinated retreat was a masterpiece of tactical precision. Human and Merida vessels moved in perfect synchronization, drawing the swarm into the most dangerous depths of Meridia Prime. The ocean floor here was a maze of thermal vents and crushing pressure zones, a battlefield that favored those who truly understood the deep. As the swarm followed, they found themselves caught in a deadly trap. Superheated water from the thermal vents mixed with artificially generated pressure fields, creating conditions that their adaptive capabilities couldn't handle fast enough. The Eclipse's weapons, guided by Merida sensors, struck with devastating accuracy. But victory was far from certain. A massive swarm carrier, larger than the others, positioned itself directly above the battlefield. Its hull began to split open, revealing something that made both humans and Merida recoil in horror. By the depths, Lyra whispered, her patterns dimming. What have they created? The creature that emerged was a nightmarish fusion of organic and mechanical components, specifically engineered for deep ocean combat. Its massive form cast a shadow over the battlefield as it descended into the abyss, and both species knew that the true test of their alliance was about to begin. Ocean's fury. The hybrid monstrosity the swarm had created descended through the dark waters like a nightmare-given form. Its segmented body stretched nearly a kilometer in length, with multiple clusters of sensory organs adapted for deep-sea conditions. Mechanical tentacles, each equipped with weapon systems, writhed around a central mass that pulsed with bioorganic energy. All units, fall back to safe distance, Chen ordered, her voice tight with controlled fear. The Eclipse's sensors were going haywire, struggling to analyze the creature's capabilities. It's not just adapted to the deep. Chief Scientist Morin's patterns flickered rapidly as he studied the readings. They've engineered it using genetic material from deep-sea life forms. Somehow, they've been planning for this. The creature proved Morin right moments later. It released a massive electromagnetic pulse that was amplified by the conductive seawater, shorting out the nearest defense platforms. Then it moved with impossible speed for its size, its tentacles lashing out to crush several Merida vessels before they could evade. Our weapons aren't penetrating its hide, Rodriguez reported, firing another salvo from the Eclipse's main batteries. The energy beams dissipated harmlessly against the creature's outer shell. First speaker Lyra's patterns suddenly shifted to the bright colors of revelation. The thermal vents, she transmitted, not as weapons, but as power. Naya, show them. Senior observer Naya's patterns pulsed with understanding as she projected a detailed map of the ocean floor. The Meridae learned long ago to harness the energy of our thermal vents. We use them to power our cities, but the technology can be modified. Chen studied the map, seeing what Lyra was suggesting. You want to turn the entire battlefield into one massive thermal reactor. Yes, Lyra confirmed, but we'll need your ship's power systems to catalyze the reaction. The energy discharge would be extreme and lethal to anything within 50 kilometers, Ven added, her patterns showing concern, including our own forces. Chen looked at the tactical display. The hybrid creature was systematically destroying their defensive line, and more swarm ships were descending from orbit. They were running out of options. How long to make the necessary modifications? 20 minutes, Morin answered. But we'll need to get close to the central vent cluster, directly under that thing. Then we give you that time, Chen decided. She opened a channel to all forces. This is Admiral Chen. All units commence Operation Deep Strike. Draw that creature's attention away from the central vents. Whatever it takes. What followed was a desperate dance of sacrifice and courage. Meridae vessels darted in and out, using their superior maneuverability to distract the monster. Human drone ships, their AI pilots unafraid of death, launched suicide runs that kept the creature turning, searching for threats from all directions. The Eclipse descended deeper, its modified hull groaning under pressure that would have crushed any normal vessel. Engineers from both species worked frantically to integrate their technologies, creating something that had never been attempted before. Energy harvesting systems online, Morin reported, his patterns steady despite the chaos around them, ready to receive power from all operational vents. 15 Meridae vessels lost, Ven updated, her patterns dimming with grief. 30% of human support craft destroyed. Above them, the hybrid creature suddenly stopped its attacks. Its sensory clusters oriented toward the Eclipse, finally recognizing the true threat. It knows, Chen said grimly. All remaining units, clear the blast zone. We'll hold it here. The creature charged, its massive form moving with terrifying speed through the water. The Eclipse's defensive systems fired continuously, not trying to kill it but to slow it down, to keep it in position just a few moments longer. Energy collection at 60%, Morin reported. We need full capacity for this to work. Massive tentacles slammed against the Eclipse's hull, searching for weak points. Secondary systems began to fail under the assault. 70%. Emergency bulkheads sealed as sections of the outer hull started to breach. 85%. We won't survive another direct hit, Rodriguez warned as the creature readied itself for a final attack. 95%. The creature charged, its maw opening to reveal rows of biomechanical teeth designed to tear through reinforced hull plating. Now, Chen commanded. The Eclipse's modified systems activated, connecting with the thermal vent network. The ocean itself seemed to pause for a moment as unimaginable energy was channeled and focused. Then, everything exploded. The water around them turned to plasma, superheated beyond anything the Meridae had ever generated. The pressure wave expanded outward at incredible speed, catching the hybrid creature at point-blank range. Its adaptive abilities meant nothing against such raw power. Its outer shell cracked, then shattered, the pieces dissolving in the energized water. The Eclipse, its systems nearly burned out from channeling such power, drifted in the aftermath. Around them, the ocean slowly began to calm. Status of the swarm fleet? Chen asked, pulling herself up from where the final blast had thrown her. Rodriguez checked the surviving sensors. The energy discharge disrupted their formations. The remaining ships they're retreating, breaking orbit, and going to FTL. For the first time in years, Chen allowed herself to feel something close to hope. They had found not just allies, but a way to fight back, a way to win. But as the sensor data continued to come in, showing the full extent of what they had unleashed, she realized this victory was just the beginning. They had changed the ocean itself, and no one could predict what that might mean for Meridia Prime's future. Rising together. A week after the battle, Admiral Chen stood in the observation dome of New Hope Station, watching teams of humans and Meridae working together to construct the first joint defense platform in orbit around Meridia Prime. The station, built from modified sections of the damaged Eclipse, represented something unprecedented. The merger of two vastly different civilizations, brought together by necessity and transformed by shared survival. The ocean remembers, first speaker Lyra said, her form floating in the water-filled section of the chamber. Her bioluminescent patterns rippled with complex emotions as she gazed down at her changed world. The thermal reaction altered currents that have flowed unchanged for millennia. The environmental teams report the changes are stabilizing. Chen responded, touching the transparent barrier between them. The new currents might actually provide better protection against future swarm incursions. The aftermath of their desperate gambit had indeed transformed Meridia Prime's oceans. The massive energy discharge had created new thermal channels, permanently altering the underwater landscape. But where they had feared devastation, they found adaptation. The Meridae's city reefs were already beginning to integrate with these new patterns, growing stronger in the changed waters. Chief Scientist Morin's patterns glowed with excitement as he joined them. The latest data from the deep monitoring stations is remarkable. The altered thermal currents are generating sustainable energy fields we never thought possible. If we can harness them, we can create a permanent planetary defense system. Rodriguez finished, entering the chamber with a tablet displaying new sensor data, one that could make Meridia Prime impregnable to the swarm. But the changes went far beyond mere military considerations. In the depths below, human engineers worked alongside Meridae architects, learning to adapt their technology to work in harmony with the living cities. The Meridae's understanding of pressure fields and ocean dynamics was revolutionizing human ship design, while human space technology was opening the stars to their new allies. "We've received word from Earth," Chen said, her voice carrying both relief and determination. "The defensive modifications we developed here are being implemented across all human colonies. The swarm's attack on a water world may have been their greatest mistake. Because it brought us together, Lyra's patterns shifted to the deep blue of wisdom. But more than that, it showed us both what we could become." Defense Coordinator Ven, her patterns now bearing the new markings of the Joint Defense Force, emerged from another hydro tunnel. The first deep space Meridae vessels are ready for trials. Crews are eager to begin training with human space combat veterans. The implications were enormous. The Meridae's natural ability to handle extreme pressures and their intimate understanding of fluid dynamics made them ideal for space exploration. Human vessels, modified with Merida biotechnology, could now operate in environments that would have been impossible before. "We're tracking swarm movements in 3 sectors," Rodriguez reported, bringing up a stellar map. "They're consolidating their forces, probably preparing for another major offensive." "Let them come," Chen said, her voice steady. "This time, we'll be ready." But the alliance had grown beyond mere military cooperation. In the depths of Meridia Prime, human children were learning to swim alongside young Meridae, their laughter transcending the barriers of species and environment. Human scientists and Merida scholars worked together, combining their knowledge to unlock new discoveries. The first joint colonies were already being planned, worlds where both species could thrive together. "To think," Lyra mused, her patterns showing amusement. "A week ago, many of my people feared your ship would bring our end. Instead, it brought our beginning." Chen smiled, remembering her own fears when they first discovered Meridia Prime. Sometimes the best alliances are forged in the heart of fear, but they grow in the light of hope. Below them, in the altered oceans of Meridia Prime, the new thermal currents pulsed with power and possibility. Construction drones swarmed around massive structures rising from the depths, the foundations of a civilization no longer bound by the limitations of either species alone. The swarm had sought to consume their worlds. Instead, they had inadvertently created something unprecedented, a union of land and sea, of space and ocean, of two species who had learned that their greatest strength lay not in isolation, but in the courage to reach across the void and trust. As the sun set on another day of transformation, its light filtering through kilometers of living ocean, humans and Meridae continued their work together. They were no longer just allies against a common enemy. They had become architects of a shared future, proof that even in the darkest depths of space, hope could flourish and grow into something greater than anyone could have imagined. The war wasn't over. The swarm would return, perhaps stronger than before. But on Meridia Prime, and across human space, a new song was being written, one of unity, resilience, and the unlimited potential of two species rising together to face whatever challenges the universe might bring.